What's up YouTube, I'm Mike, and today I'm going to take a little bit different direction on this video. Rather than trying to bring you some educational content or discuss an experience that I've had on a cycle, I want to talk to you about an idea that I've been batting around in my head with the recent death of Cedric McMillan and all of the big names that have passed recently. John Meadows, Sean Roden, the names go on and on and on. I don't need to repeat everybody. You guys know that big names in bodybuilding have literally been dropping like flies recently. And so for someone whose health is often being pushed to the limits, it makes you start to sort of, re-examine what it is that you're doing. One of the things that I'm beginning to think or wonder at is, does bodybuilding make normal life unlivable? The reason I say that is because if you look at the medical history of these guys who passed away recently, none of these deaths really come as a total surprise. Like, every one of these guys had been struggling with some type of health problems, generally for a protracted period of time. So you would imagine that every one of their doctors has got to be telling them, if you continue doing what you're doing, it's likely going to cost you your life. And they continued to do what they were doing and then passed away. And like I said, the names go on and on and on, and it's something that I find myself facing personally. Like, if you've been following my channel for any length of time, you know that I've been blasting and cruising for several years now, and that I've been struggling to keep my lipids and my blood pressure in line. And so I've been doing an experimental cruise with trenbolone and testosterone to see, excuse me, if low-dose tren would allow me to keep a lot of my gains and progress in the gym and get my biomarkers to come back into the normal range. As I reported in one of my previous videos, I succeeded in doing that and got my blood pressure, cholesterol, every one of the major biomarkers to fall back into the normal range. The problem is that it took a good while, going on 12 weeks now, to get everything back to normal. And 12 weeks is a long time for me, or at least it feels like a long time to be cruising. Now, that may seem contradictory because of the fact that I was able to set PRs, I did gain some weight, but there was no real new muscle growth during this cruise phase, and that's the thing that I find myself sort of becoming addicted to. It's the constant and progressive progress that we all seem to be looking forward to with our cycles and our gym routines and all of the things that we do. As anyone knows who's ever really taken a stab at building the best physique they could possibly build, you find that it becomes a way of life and it becomes an addiction. You have to build your entire life around this sport. To build the best physique you can build, it can't be just this passing hobby where a couple days a week you go to the fucking gym and the rest of the time you're out partying and drinking with your buddies and doing street drugs and having a good old time. Those two things just don't really mix. If you want to build the best physique you can, you have to treat bodybuilding like a lifestyle. You're doing the meal preps, you're getting the 8 hours or more of sleep every day, the hours and hours and hours in the gym. All that goes into this endeavor takes it out of you and it becomes effectively what you live for. I have experienced a lot when I come off cycle, various forms of depression, where for one, you come off these super physiological amounts of gear and you lose that godly feeling that you have. You lose some of that confidence. You lose some of that drive. You're not recovering at the same rate. You're not as strong as you used to be. Your endurance is not as good as it used to be. You know, your sexual prowess may be lacking. This is why I decided to try to incorporate tren into a cruise, and I did that with great results. But it's still not the same as being on large doses of anabolics, and it's not the same when you have this protracted period of time where, yeah, you're maintaining everything that you have, but you're not seeing any added growth. And I'm beginning to wonder if what really happens with guys who get really vested in this sport is over a period of time, you get used to being superhuman. You're doing something with your body that it was not designed to do. You're building superhuman levels of muscle. You have superhuman levels of endurance, of sexual prowess, of strength, of aggression, confidence. All of these things can feel very godly. And I think what happens is that normal life, or the concept of a normal life, begins to pale in comparison. And that's something that I'm experiencing right now. For some of you who know, I quit my job relatively recently. I have a pretty sizable nest egg of money, and my wife and I have been looking at a lot of new ventures. You know, we were planning on moving to Miami. That's something that's still very much in the cards. Then we started thinking maybe Thailand was the answer. We've just got like a lot of fucking crazy ideas, and I'm sitting on a sizable amount of money, and I've got a great family, an amazing wife. I have all of these really, really positive things in my life. I'm very fortunate to have so much positive in my life. And yet I often find that those things don't seem to be enough to keep me happy or focused or dedicated during my cruises. When I go into a cruise, or when I start to have the idea that, you know, maybe I'm too old to grow anymore. Maybe I don't want to push my body with additional compounds. Maybe I don't want to take the risk of not being able to control my blood pressure or my lipids or my liver enzymes or whatever, all of the things that we battle with. When I start to have the thought that maybe this is as far as I'm going to go, suddenly life starts to lose its meaning. And I find myself searching for a reason to exist. It's like I literally right now could go buy a dream home on the island of Koh Samui and live in paradise. There went one of my lights. Live in paradise, and it's only partially exciting to think about. Like, I'm way more excited to go on blast again and start my meal preps, my calorie tracking, and the intense 2-hour workouts, and be driven to grow every fiber of muscle I can grow. That seems to be much more rewarding to me for some reason than the possibility of living in paradise and just hanging out on the fucking beach with a fucking, whatever cocktail I might drink and just kick back in the sun. And so now that I'm not working and I'm not fulfilling some desire to go out and conquer the business world, all of a sudden it's like my life kind of seems devoid of meaning. And I wonder if that's not what ultimately kills some of these guys. Like these guys who are far bigger than me, who competed on an Olympia stage, who did this professionally, who did it for decades, who were at the top of their fucking game, who got accustomed to everywhere they walked in life, all of the heads turned, all of the attention, what it must feel like to be this hulking 275-pound, dice to the bone man. That's got to be an amazing feeling to live with for all those years. And then when faced with the idea that you have to give it all up because your health is flagging, I wonder if they don't start asking themselves the same questions that I'm asking. You know, like, then what? Like, what am I going to do? Like, I'm just going to go back to being like a civilian, like for lack of a better term? Like, I'm just going to quit lifting or what? I don't know. Something seems to drive these guys to push themselves all the way to death to continue to pursue these endeavors, to continue to pursue these dreams. And I find myself in that place right now. Like, I just spent the better part of a year with my cholesterol out of the reference range, which is a known risk factor for clotted arteries, heart attacks, strokes, all of these things that could kill me. And I'm 41 years old. I'm not a young man. So my risk of death continues to incline with every needle puncture, with every oral that I take, with everything that I'm doing. I'm literally shortening my lifespan, and I don't care. Like, I find myself just not caring. I find myself feeling like Fuck the lipids, fuck the blood pressure, fuck everything. I just want to push my body as far as I can take it. And if it kills me, then so be it. Because I don't know what else I would do that would feel meaningful. One of the things that I've found that can be so addictive about bodybuilding is it's a unique hobby in the sense that, like, I used to be into fishing, I love photography, I used to have a motorcycle that I really loved to ride. But all of those things are conditional types of happiness. You know, you can be an avid fisherman, you can go to the lake and have a really shitty fucking day and be miserable. Or you can be trapped at home because you can't get on the lake because of the weather or the wind or whatever condition might be going on. The same occurs for riding a motorcycle. If that's your source of pleasure, it continues to be very conditional. The heat, the rain, the cold, there's all of these things that can jump in against your will and rob you of the ability to pursue your happiness. I have not had that experience with bodybuilding. I bet I couldn't count on one hand the number of bad days I had in the gym. You know, like the only time I ever have a bad day in the gym is usually when some bullshit's going on in real life, like a relationship problem or a work problem, and I just can't get it out of my head. But that's very rare. Usually the gym is my place of peace. It's the equalizer. It's the thing that makes everything else better. If my entire life is falling the fuck apart, I can go in the gym, get a few sets in, and suddenly again I feel alive. I feel like I have a purpose. I feel like I have meaning. I feel like I have something to chase. And that endeavor is not dependent upon other people. You know, if you're happy in your marriage, or you're happy with your children, or you're happy in your job, those things depend on your wife or your kids or your employer or your customers continuing to do things so that you can succeed in those endeavors. Bodybuilding is all about you. You put the fucking meals down. You get the sleep. You do the training. You take the drugs. You schedule your life. You are in control of your happiness. And I just have never in life found something like that. And that level of happiness is addictive. That level of control is addictive. And I find that when I look out on a world of possibilities that I could invest myself and my life in, all of them pale in comparison to the feeling that I get with a brain full of hormones in the gym under big weight, moving that shit around and then looking at the pump in the mirror, seeing the veins bulge, the feeling that you get when you just feel like a god in the gym or walking the streets. Nothing seems to compare to that. And it makes me wonder if that's what is really killing these guys. They just can't find anything else that compares, and they would rather die doing what they love than to put the fucking gear down, to put the weights down, and go sit in the backyard and read books until fucking time takes them. And so, I don't know. That's what I'm saying. I decided just to make a video and tell you guys how I feel, kind of where I'm at in life. And so here I stand. I've had my cholesterol back in line for a couple of weeks. And today, if I'm being totally honest, I doubled my tren dose, I upped my testosterone dose, and I'm getting ready to fucking blast again. Because honestly, as much as I should care about all of the other things in my life, I don't. This is what I want. This is what I love doing. And if it kills me, then so fucking be it. What do you think? Comments in the section below. Follow me on Instagram. If you need TRT, use code MikeFit at sign up with Royal Medical Center. They'll get you taken care of. And as always, we'll see you on the next one.